Music Talk takes a bumpy ride with Jeremy Ivey, who is literally on the road touring with his wife Margo Price. Jeremy's just released his own album, Invisible Pictures. So hang in there, the connection is a bit fuzzy, but the conversation is sharp.
I used to walk these streets amazed, head ablaze in every town.
Congratulations on your new album, which came out in March, middle of March, so it's almost old news these days, the way everything goes.
Put on a record nowadays, it's like about a month later, people kind of forget about it, you know. I mean,
It's kind of
like the news fades.
Yeah, I mean, and that must be kind of frustrating for someone who spends so much time making the thing, and then you spit it out, and boom.
Not so much for me because I make them so fast, you know.
Oh, good.
I've already started doing demos for my next album, so I should be recording that soon. So
Excellent. So how's the reaction been to the new album?
it's been better by actual people, you know.
Right.
Like people in Nashville. It's not been as good with press, but I figured that, you know, my race and gender and age probably come into that, you know. I'm not the top tier in the Americana world. I'm not the one that's getting a lot of attention, which is fine, you know.
Yeah.
But as far as people go, people seem to like it, you know.
Cool. So my understanding is that when you approached making the record, you kind of wanted to change everything up, and you got a new producer and worked with new people and all that. So what brought you to that point?
Basically, Margo always said that after, you know, you do 2 albums with a producer, you got to shoot your producer, you know, you got to move on. And so, you know, she produced the first 2, and I figured I needed someone new.
Yep.
But I like to work with people that I know, and I knew Andrea for a long time. And I just ended up running into him in town in Nashville, and it kind of reminded me, because we haven't spoken in a while, you know. And then pretty soon after that, I heard a record that he had produced by Riley Downing. It was really good, called "Start It Over," and that's when after I heard that record, I knew I wanted Andrea to do it, you know.
Right.
And then he put together the whole band, and, you know, made it pretty easy for me. Come in with the songs and kind of do his thing, you know.
So were the songs all set to go, and you were just waiting for the right team, as it were?
I was worried about getting the right band to do that because, you know, it's a lot to learn. So what actually helped was Margo's keyboard player, a friend of mine, Michael Holscher. He helped me. I sent him all the songs, like voice memos, and he helped me write all the notation, you know, chart out all the songs. So then when we got to the studio, we just put the chart in front of the players and they played it, you know. So that helped a lot. But yeah, I would say I probably had a vision for the record, but it's funny when you collaborate with people, it always changes from what you originally want, you know. And I did want, you know, kind of. I probably was thinking more along to like the Kinks and the Beatles and Elliott Smith and that sort of stuff.
Right.
Right. And when Andrea kind of, you know, Terrain, he did a lot more, put a lot more colors in there that I probably may not have. He like referenced more like a Beach Boys with the lead, you know, Lee Hazelwood, you know,
Right.
Which is cool. That's what you know, people is all about.
The songs themselves, there's 10 that make up the album. For you, do they tell a story as a whole, or you look at them as individuals or as a piece?
I mean, I think that I just started writing in a way that I haven't written in a long time, where I let myself be free with the music part of it. The lyrics are always kind of about me or about the world or whatever it is, you know. This one was a little more personal, but the music I've shied away from for a long time because I've been in the world of writing country songs with my wife and very simple music, you know. Not bad music, just simpler.
Right.
The last record I did before this was more like in the Dylan, you know, world. So this one I kind of let myself be a little more free with that. So that's really what happened was I wrote a couple songs. I think Black Moon was the first song I wrote for the album. and I just kind of went with that flow of letting the music kind of tell the story with the words, you know.
Yep. Well, I noticed it just with the first track with Orphan
really
Child.
what it was when
And it's got kind of psychedelic video, which kind of sets the tone, and that's certainly not a country trope, as it were.
Long away, far ago, I had what I thought was the best. I watched it slip, fall and fade. I watched perfection come transgress.
well, you know, I'm from Texas, but at the core of me, I'm more influenced by rock and psychedelic music and, you know, all the stuff from the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, 13th Floor Elevators were from Texas, so there you go.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So I love country music, and I might at some point try to attempt a country record of my own, but I don't think I have a very country voice, you know.
Right.
Just try to do what's natural to me, you know. Whatever that is, if it's natural, then, you know.
Right.
Of course.
Right. So a couple tracks I was hoping to touch on. Well, Invisible Pictures for one, which kind of is based around an actual event, I believe. So maybe you can tell folks what that means to you.
They're sweeping up glass and debris from our city's latest catastrophe. Nothing could bring me down today. Nothing could bring me down.
It's based around this on Christmas Day, not this last Christmas, the Christmas before, there was a bombing in downtown Nashville. But it was even more than that, like culmination of like a avalanche, a landslide of events that were happening in the world, you know.
Yeah.
And it kind of was the last like breaking moment in my brain, you know. Like I couldn't handle any more bad news. And so there's a lot of imagery in that about just around, you know, the town that I live in. But really at the heart of it, I was just deciding that from now on, I'm just going to be okay. You know, no matter what happens, like,
Yeah.
you can't break me, you know. So yeah, that chorus being you know, nothing can bring me down. I became kind of a mantra, and so I knew it was going to go on a song at some point. It just kind of happened, you know.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of a universal thing
But
that everyone
one
are
thing-
going to, because, you know, we're all getting to the point where you wake up every morning and you go, now what? You know, what's happened? And it could be a personal, it could be a, you know, global event, but it's still, and people react differently to how they get to that point.
Yeah, remember the murder hornets?
Yes.
There was like a time after the pandemic was going, everyone thought we were going to be overtaken by these like huge hornets, you know?
Yeah.
There's always something, you know?
Yep.
Some madness.
Yeah, I love the murder hornets. There's also a tune called Gray Machine, which has some it sounds like steel guitar working its way through there. And I was just wondering what the Gray Machine is to you.
He was a walking tragedy. He lived inside his mind in his dirty upstairs room, above the neon sign, in the city of sad and distant eyes. A sucker in a billionaire's dream.
It's you know, the city. It's the pursuit of money. It's kind of like this. You know, when I first met Margo, the story of the song is when I met her, we were both working in jobs. Cook. We kind of always had this like thing that we were going to run away. You know, I don't know where we were going to run away to. We were going to get the hell out of what we were in. You know, and it felt like it was closing in our 20s. You know, like
Yep.
we had to get out of the corporate thing. You know, this drive that your parents give you that you have to go to college, be successful, and you know, that was all the. I guess that was the imagery for that. That Gray Machine was like.
Gotcha.
Also, live in a town where there's a lot of overcast all winter in Nashville. It doesn't necessarily get as cold as other places, but it's just gray all the time. You know?
Yeah. Well, I moved here from Rochester, New York, so I understand gray and cold.
Yeah, so,
Believe me.
and Texas is that way too. You know, where I'm from, it gets very gray in the wintertime.
Right. Gotcha. Now, speaking of Margo, you didn't. So you're still working together. You didn't shoot the former producer. You married her instead. So you have written a song with her, "Keep Me High," which is kind of a little bit more of an upbeat thing on the record. So tell me about how you guys work together. Has it changed over the years? And when you sit down to write a song, what goes on?
I got a new love that lasts forever. She's got what it takes to keep me high. I've got a new love to keep me high. I've got a new love to keep me high.
I think like these days we don't sit down as often unless we make a time, you know. She just got done recording a record of hers that hasn't come out yet. And when we went to write that, we had to go away from our kids, away from our town. We had to go to like an Airbnb in Charleston, North Carolina, just to get away and spend a week and wrote together, you know?
Yep.
Where it used to be all the time, we were, you know, between, when we didn't have kids, we just kind of sit around all the time and write, you know. So, changed that way, but our process is kind of always the same. One person has an idea, like with "Keep Me High" was my, you know, basically my song, but he helped write the verse, you know, the second verse for me. So usually it's like that. You have like a song with a missing piece, and if the other person's really into it and they want to work on it, you know, I know I have a good song when I bring it to her and she gets kind of like visibly mad,
Right.
You know, she gets upset that she didn't write it, or you know. Kind of pissed off that I had a good one. So then she'll want to jump in and, you know, and I'm the same way when I hear something she wrote, I'm like, damn, that's really good, you know.
Yeah, I want a piece of this.
And I want to be part of it. So, yeah, that's kind of how it works. I mean, I help her finish her stuff. She helps me finish some of my stuff. So,
Cool.
yeah.
Now you talked about the music. We talked about music, but lyrically, there's some pretty cool things going on here, and I'm reticent to recite your lyrics back to you. But there's, you know, songs like "Empty Game" and "Silence and Sorrow" have some pretty nice images and wordsmithing going on there. So, how much time do you spend on your lyrics? Are they kind of rattling around in your head all the time? Do they spit right out, or do you kind of?
Well, yeah, I'm kind of always writing, but I guess the key is that I always have been writing. You know, I mean, I've been, when I was in school, in high school, I wrote a lot of poetry and read a lot of poetry. I read, you know, the Beats and Rimbaud and stuff like that.
Right.
So I don't try too hard these days because I feel like I've got all that shit in my head. So it's, you know, it's easier for me to write, I guess. It's hard to explain, but it's more to let the guard down and let things flow out instead of trying to make it sound cool or trying to be poetic, but just kind of letting it, relaxing your mind, you know?
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll go down a trail of, you know, Silence and Sorrow is about a character, but it's also about myself. So you just kind of imagine the character like you're writing a movie, and one thing falls to another, and it should be very like liquid, you know?
And do movies kind of influence what you write and what you're thinking about? Do you go to films? Are you a student of the film?
I mean, I love them. We just got done watching No Country for Old Men back here in the back lounge.
Right.
Coen Brothers, you know, I like old films too. I like The Third Man. It's an old film.
Yep, Third Man theme.
Yeah. Band, yeah. I've always loved film, and probably at some point in my life, I'm gonna dip my toe into writing some screenplays. You know,
Right.
Margo's been writing books. I've written books too, but it's more along the lines of poetry and short stories and things. But I don't see that I have enough demand. People don't know me well enough for me to want to put a book out yet. But I think I will at some point. You know.
Cool. Yeah, that's cool. So you said you're kind of thinking about working on the next record already. What are you thinking about? How's it looking?
This one is kind of like it's looking good. I think I've got about 17 songs, but the vibe of it is very small, unimportant that end up being important in your life, you know. So if that makes any sense, but it's, you know, kind of like Seinfeld was a show about nothing.
Yeah.
It's an album about nothing, but it's really like little images and moments and that kind of add up to everything. You know?
Sounds good to me. All right. Have you ever been down to this part of the world?
I have not. I'd love to visit there. My friend Trey Bird, who's a great songwriter, he was just there. He would tell me what a great time he had. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bring the whole show down here. It'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
We're dying for international art because everything's been locked down and locked out, and it's just kind of opening up, you know. So, yeah.
My wife has been there before, but I was at home with the kids.
Right. Somebody's got to be. Bring them along.
Right.
They love the road, right?
Oh, yeah. They're with the grandparents right now, but.
Yeah. Very good. All righty. Well, I'll let you go because, man, it's been a struggle to communicate here, but I think we got it done.
So much. I appreciate it a lot.
Thank you very much. Good luck with everything and say hi to all. All right. Bye-bye.